Good morning, juniors. This is Mrs. McGeehan, one of the school counselors here at Andrew. We have most of the school counselors here together to talk to you about some post-secondary options and some things you should be doing now until the end of the year to get ready for your senior year. So basically, this is a video presentation of different information that you need to know. All of this information we will be going over kind of quickly. It will be more in depth on the Google Classroom. There's videos, there's informational pictures, there's frequently asked questions. You need to use that as a supplement to this video. This video will also be posted in the Google Classroom. Know that there will be enrichments and an opportunity to meet with your counselor one-on-one to also discuss what your plans are for when you leave Andrew. Now you're going to hear from Mr. Cody Daly.
Hey T-Bolts, in this short video I will detail 5 options that you have for life after high school. One option that some students choose is to enter the workforce directly. Some things to consider for this option include what application you need to turn in or what experience you need in order to get the job that you are choosing to pursue. Also, do you have any connections or referrals contacts that you could reach out to? Those are often very helpful, so sometimes students have family connections who may be able to set them up with a job. Those can be very helpful in that job search process. Additionally, we also want to make sure that you are living and working in a job that can give you a comfortable wage. So are you going to make enough to live comfortably and to sustain over time? If not, are you thinking of working multiple jobs? That is something to consider. Additionally, we also have the trades and apprenticeships. Trade schools and apprenticeship programs offer great opportunities for students to earn highly skilled certificates in many different areas, such as welding, carpentry, or bricklaying. The great thing about trades and apprenticeships is these are short-term, hands-on training that lead to employment in in-demand areas. So a lot of the careers that are associated with trades and apprenticeships are careers that we need people in the most. Also, some apprenticeship programs obviously offer the guaranteed employment after you complete your training. Community colleges also offer these programs too, so don't think that if you want to pursue automotive, for example, that a trade school or an apprenticeship is your only choice. Community colleges also offer programs like automotive, industrial maintenance, CDL, truck driving, and things of that nature. Apprenticeship programs typically accept students at different times of the year. Trade schools tend to accept students year-round. So if you're interested in either of those options, just double-check to see when their application cycles happen. And you do need to be above the 18 years of age or above in order to take part in apprenticeship programs. They will get verification of that when you apply. Another great option is to enlist in the military. And here in the United States, we have several branches to choose from. One thing to consider when choosing to enlist in the military is, what is your enlistment goal? Are you planning to enlist full-time? Are you planning to be a member of the reserves? Are you planning to maybe do an ROTC program where you're an active member of the armed forces while also attending college classes? That's something to consider as you start to think about life after high school. Additionally, to prepare for enlisting, you will need to take the ASVAB test, which we offer here annually here at Andrew, and you will need to typically pass some sort of physical assessment. You can always reach out to your recruiter. They have all of the information that you need, but also your counselor can connect you to that recruiter if you're not sure who to contact. Community college is another great option. They offer 2-year associate degrees and other short-term certificates. The great thing about community college is they offer community classes just for the greater community that anyone can sign up for. They also offer transfer degrees where students can get their general ed classes out of the way and then transfer to a four-year institute. Sometimes the most well-known or well-promoted option are the four-year colleges and universities. That's where you can get your bachelor's degree, which is the four-year degree, and some even offer advanced degrees such as master's and doctorates if you choose to go that far into your educational journey. At colleges and universities, students can typically enter either as freshmen or as transfer students. Colleges and universities come in all shapes and sizes. I know typically we think of the big U of I campus, but believe it or not, there are small colleges that are smaller than Andrew. Colleges are becoming more competitive these days in certain areas such as engineering, nursing, business, finance, things of that nature. One perk of living in the Chicagoland area is that we live close to so many universities and colleges that sometimes you can live on campus or you can commute. So that's something to also consider. And if you want to go to a four-year college or university, definitely one thing to remember is it's really important to apply first semester senior year. That'll set you up for success in terms of getting in as well as scholarships. Thanks again for listening to this short video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or your counselor.
All right, now I'll pass it along to Ms. Driscoll to discuss Moraine Valley placement information and certificate options.
Hello, juniors. Mrs. Driscoll here, school counselor. Nice to see you all again. I wish we were in person. So for Moraine Valley for placement, so if you decide that you're going to go to Moraine Valley, they have to determine what types of classes you're going to be placed in. So if to be exempt from taking their actual placement exams, you have to have a test score on the ACT of a 480 in the evidence-based reading and writing and a 520 in the math. If you have one, you've reached that threshold in one test and not the other, then you would automatically place, let's say you had a 480 in English, you'd automatically place into college level courses. For English, and for math, you would take a placement exam. Okay. They also will accept the ACT as a way to be exempt from taking the placement exams, and you need to have a 19 or above on English and reading and a 20 or above in math. Be the criteria to be exempt. You would need to provide a copy of your SAT and ACT test scores to Moraine Valley, and then they would use those as evidence to place you into your classes. If you are not exempt because your test scores weren't high enough, the testing center does offer placement at Moraine Valley. You would take a math test called ALEKS, ALEKS, and then for the reading and in the English, you would do the AccuPlacer. And there are both taken on the computer at Moraine, and there is online study sessions and classes. They do advise that you do prepare for these tests, and there is a number of ways to do that, and information is on Moraine Valley's website, and you can also contact Moraine Valley's testing center. In order to take a placement test, though, it's a very important thing to remember. You must have completed an application to Moraine Valley first. Once you have the application completed and submitted, then you can start scheduling your placement tests. Moraine Valley also offers something called certificate programs. So these might be for students who are are non-degree seeking. You're not ready to get an actual degree yet, but they have certificate programs. And these programs are great. Sometimes they take, maybe a year to 2 years. Some of the types of programs that they have for certificates: massage therapist, fitness trainer, phlebotomy, welding, EMTs, auto mechanical design, nursing assistants, Java programming, any sort of computer information programming. All of those are different certificates that you can get, and you can get multiple certificates to enhance your ability to get a job without necessarily having to get a degree right away if that's not what you want to do. So Moraine Valley's got a lot of options for you, and just remember the testing is important, that you do have either an entrance, you're either going to take a placement exam for entrance, or you produce your SAT or ACT scores to place. Thank you.
Hi, juniors. I'm Mr. Zolk, school counselor here at Andrew. I'm putting on my hat from my military service. Just wanting to emphasize a couple things from Mr. Daly's video. The military is an option. It is definitely not for everybody, but I am a good resource here to talk to you about that option if it is something you're considering. Now is the time to start thinking about that. I personally went into the military right after high school. I served for 4 years and used the money I earned from my military experience to then attend college and earn my degrees. So that is an option. I know many people that go into the military and do that as a career for life. Many people I served with are recently retired from the military and moving on to second careers. So there are a lot of different options out there. I'm here to talk to you. I can talk to you about I can answer any questions you have, what it's like day in the life of the military. We can talk about jobs. We can talk about the different branches, of course. I personally served in the Navy, but I can talk as well about the Army, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and National Guard as well. We can talk about your options, going reserve, going enlisted, going into ROTC, all those different options. So something to think about. I'm not going to push you one way or another. I'll just give you the information you want to that you want to get, and we'll also be scheduling an ASVAB test for you next year. And that ASVAB is important if you are going into the military, if you make that decision. The ASVAB test will help to determine what job you're going to have while you're in the military. So I'm here for you guys. You can reach out at any time, answer any questions. We can set up meetings, let your counselors know, and we will we'll set that up. All right. Thanks a lot, guys, for your time. I'm turning it over to Mr. Malik, who looks like he's trying to fix his desk right now.
Hold on a second here. I'll be there in a second. All right. Give me. All right. There we go. That's been bugging me through the whole pandemic. But hey, everybody, class of 2022, I'm Mr. Malik. Just want to reiterate a few things regarding the trades. If you're a person who enjoys working with your hands, tools, fixing things, the trades just might be in your future. I know there's a lot of talk about college, but there are quite a few of you out there who you got some different plans in mind. So I want you to know that all of us here in the Andrew Guidance Department, especially me, would really like to speak with you about a future in the trades. As you know, Mr. Daly had mentioned, there's numerous opportunities, and there are a lot of opportunities in our area to explore when it comes to the trades and technology. Moraine Valley has a number of certificated programs in technology like auto tech, welding, IT, computers, plenty of those to choose from. Also, just right around us, there's a number of trade union apprenticeship programs, such as the electricians, pipe fitters right over there in Mokina, carpenters, just to name a few around us. And last but not least, there are a number of vocational schools like Universal Technical Institute that offer opportunities for people. At the end of the day, we want to speak with you about this. Be on the lookout for any enrichments and opportunities to meet, and speak with professionals in the fields and in the trades as we finish up the year and as we go into next year, and hopefully things get to be a little bit more normal. And also, please always check out the information on the Google Classroom. Mr. Zolk had mentioned the ASVAB. ASVAB is not only, I call it the entrance exam for people who want to go into the military, but it's also offered to people who don't want to go into the military and they want to learn just a little bit more about their interests along the way. So we do have one coming up on April 22nd. Please reach out to me or Mr. Zolk if you want to learn a little bit more about that. Have a great rest of the year, and we'll be talking to you real soon. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Fabrizio, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Malik. Appreciate it. Hi, juniors. Mr. Fabrizio, one of the school counselors. As you guys get closer to your senior year, as you've heard from some of the other counselors, there's a lot of options, okay? And one of the options is obviously looking at college and kind of what that entails in terms of, for you guys looking at, different college options, okay? So I'm going to share with you here. I'm talking about the college application process and kind of what that's involved. One of the things when you're starting to apply to colleges is obviously you want to narrow down a list of schools that you want to apply to. And we as counselors can help with that in terms of, trying to figure out what's the best fit for you guys. Typically, at least with my students, I try to tell them to apply anywhere from about 5 to 10 schools, or at least narrow it down to that many. I've had, many students apply to more than that, less than that, but I think that's a pretty good number, about 5 to 10 schools to give yourself some good options. Okay. The process itself, it kind of consists of 3 areas: the actual college application, okay, and then all the parts that are involved in that, sending out of your transcript, okay, which I'll talk about in a second, and then sending out of your test score. So if you think of those 3 things, it's the application, the transcript, and the test score. So the application itself, most schools are similar in that they're looking for basic information. There may be a couple other, additive information pieces that they're looking for. For example, they might be looking for a letter of recommendation. They might be looking for, an essay or some other series of questions that they're asking you to answer. Really, essentially, they're trying to get to know who you are. And so, the big thing with the application is filling it out completely. Okay, so most applications are directly online right at the school's website. It makes it pretty user-friendly. Usually at the top, there's a apply now. Okay, and then you just kind of go through the process. We ask that you guys pay attention to deadlines. So it's really important that you guys stay organized in terms of knowing when applications are due and understanding when you have to have certain things completed. For example, letter of recommendation. So typically colleges, if they're looking for a letter of recommendation, they want it from an academic level teacher. Okay. And so we have available here in guidance and on the Google Classroom and on our guidance webpage, an information sheet. So essentially what it is, it's a letter of recommendation information sheet. You guys fill that out. It asks a series of questions about yourself. And this is kind of your time to brag. And this is helpful when you ask a teacher to write you a letter, to hand this to them so that they can write you more of an informed letter and as opposed to just what they know of you in the class. Obviously, when a teacher writes a letter, they're going to write their observations of what they know. Okay, but they also want to include some things that you have talked about with yourself as well. Okay, so the only other important factor to that is just make sure that the teachers you give the teachers ample time to complete that. So if if an application is due on a Friday, don't go to the teacher on Wednesday and ask them to write you a letter. Okay, try to make sure you do that a couple weeks in advance. Okay. Also, within the application, there may be an essay. Okay, so obviously you're trying to share some information about yourself, but really the biggest thing about the essay is making sure that you answer the question completely. We've had students in the past who have an idea of what they want to say, but it doesn't answer the question. Okay, so it's important that you do that, answer the question completely, and then you can kind of work some things in that you're trying to talk about yourself. And it's also important that you make sure somebody proofreads that. Okay, that could be your counselor, it could be a parent, it could be maybe your English teacher. It's up to you, but you're sending that essay on behalf of yourself, so you want to make sure that is written well. Okay. Next is sending of your transcripts. For some schools, you will self-report those. So what a transcript is essentially a running tab of all the classes and all of your grades since you've been in high school. Okay, so since you'll start this, your senior year, your transcript will consist of the first 3 years: your freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year. Okay, it'll have community service hours on there. It will have GPA information on there. And like I said, so some schools will say you are self-reporting that. So they will have a spot for you to actually fill those in. Okay. A majority of the schools do not ask for you to self-report that. Okay. But you are still responsible for sending the transcript on your behalf. Okay, and I believe another counselor is going to talk about that later in this presentation, but you will use parchment.com to do that. And really, once you create an account, it's really simple. You can log in and send your transcript anywhere you want. There are a couple of exceptions as you start to navigate the process of applications. There are some, there's Common Application and Send EDU, which you will fill in specific information about your counselor. And then by doing so and submitting that, that will actually come as a notification to us, and we will handle the transcript on that behalf. Okay, but for the most part, for many schools, you guys are in charge of the transcript yourself. Okay. Lastly is sending of your test scores. Okay, we do not send the test scores, and they are not on the transcript. Okay, so you guys will all have a College Board account. For those of you who take the ACT, you will have an ACT student account as well. Okay, so when you log into those accounts, you will be able to send your test scores to any of the schools. Okay, so it's really important. Schools you apply to will not consider your application complete until those three things are done. Okay, so the application itself is submitted, your transcripts are submitted, and your test scores are submitted. Okay, so it's really important that you guys stay organized and focused on deadlines and make sure you guys know what schools require what things in terms of it being complete. Okay, and lastly, we have several enrichments that some of our students have taken advantage of throughout the first semester and into the second semester regarding this. Okay, all areas of the college process. So make sure you guys take advantage of it, whether it be, I know Mrs. Driscoll has done, several essay writing enrichments. Mr. Daly has done a lot of the college application stuff. Mr. Tav has done NCAA stuff. Okay, so we're just asking you guys to take advantage of the enrichments that are out there for you because we're here to help. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And I am going to turn it over to Mrs. Driscoll, who will talk about the Common App.
All right, I'm back, friends. So Common App is one application. 900 schools, over 900 schools are attached to this one application. You can create an account right now as juniors for the Common App. You need to save your password, remember what your password is. And when you go into it, you can start to look at what the application entails, okay? In most cases, an essay is required and the prompts are out for next year already. So the prompts are the questions that you would need to answer and they'll be out for next year already. You may need teacher recommendations. You'll have to check and see the individual schools that you are interested in. They list the criteria that you would need. Okay, that if you have to have your teacher recommendation and other things like that. We also, all the counselors need to be added. We are the ones who complete the school report. So every one of us, you need to add us to your profile because we need to complete your school report. And finally, just a reminder, not all schools are on the Common App. For example, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign is not affiliated with the Common App currently. So there will be schools that aren't on it. You would just use a different application that school requires. Okay, thank you. Our next person is Mr. Tadla for NCAA. Where is he?
I'm here, folks. I'm here. We got the music on now from passing period.
Right, you need to turn your camera on.
Yes, it's on. All right, folks, how you doing? Mr. Tadler from the guidance department. We're going to take you around the course here on a couple items here. First one is going to be NCAA. Let's get this first shot through here, and then we'll walk through and kind of explain what's happening here, right? One more shot. All right, we're going to move on. So if you are a junior and you are participating or want to participate in sports at the NCAA level, you're going to have to do a couple things. First thing is you have to let your coach know that you want to participate in athletics at the Division I and Division II level. All right, so this would be happening right around the summer of your junior year, that you would let your coaches know. That's the first important thing. The coaches have to know so they can be in the loop that you are interested in participating in the Division I or the Division II level. Then we have to you have to let your counselors know, all right? It's important that the counselors know as well for many different reasons. But let me get to my caddy here. We got to take another shot here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about these for. I'm gonna aim out this way. I gotta get out. So, yes, it's very important that you let your counselors know that you want to be an athlete as well, so we can get your schedules put together for next year. There's certain criteria that you have to meet in core classes to be eligible for NCAA Division I, Division II. So you have to let your counselors know as soon as you can that they are going to be an NCAA Division I, Division II athlete. So we need to let coaches know, and we have to let your counselors know as soon as possible, because going into senior year, there are certain classes that may not be NCAA eligible. So we're going to make sure we keep you safe from that. All right, so we're going to try to work our way through here. We're going to work our way through, and we're going to talk real quickly. One more thing, we're going to get through the door here. All right, we're going to work our way out into the hallway here. Working our way out in the hallway. Yes, we're good. So remember, counselor needs to know, coach needs to know, and you have to be part of the NCAA Eligibility Center. All right, you can just go on NCAA Eligibility Center, and I would suggest doing that at the earliest summer of this year or fall of next year. But you want to be in the clearinghouse by the time you come back to school on September. So I'm going to reiterate one more thing here. Coach needs to know, counselor needs to know, and you have to be in the NCAA Eligibility Center. All right? So that's the NCAA eligibility part. My next part here is we're standing in front of the registrar's office. So as Mr. Fabrizio talked earlier, all transcripts are going to go through Parchment. All right? So what I would suggest everybody doing is going to parchment.com and setting up a account on parchment.com. Okay, because 95% of the transcripts that you're going to need in senior year are going to be sent electronically through Parchment. All right, so we no longer send them out paper copy. So everyone needs to set up a account on Parchment. If not, then you're not going to get transcripts sent because it comes out electronically. If you need further information on that, all Parchment information is on our Google Classroom. All right, so we're going to work our way down. We got one more stop. If I can get through it, we're going to go down to community service. All right, we got a long way to go here. All right, we're going to work our way down to community service. I think this one's going to roll pretty good here. We're going to work our way around the community service, and we're going to talk to Mrs. Balestri, all right? And here we come. We make the turn. And now here's Mrs. Balestri for a message for our juniors. Turning it over to Mrs. Balestri.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Mrs. Balestri. I'm in charge of service learning, which is also called community service. Everyone always wants to know how many service hours you need to graduate. You need 25 service hours to graduate. And if you're a senior, you have up until the end of first semester to get those done. So you'll have you'll have freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year to get those done. If you're trying to get the teal cord to wear across the stage for graduation, you need to have at least 100 hours by about the end of March, your senior year. The other thing is we talk about recognition for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. For freshmen, it's 25 hours, sophomores, 50 hours, juniors, 75 hours, seniors, 100 hours. You can now see the opportunities for community service on the Canvas service learning page. And in order to get there, you go to D230, go to Student Tools, click on the little Canvas icon app, and that'll take you right to service learning. That's where you can see updates on weekly projects. You can also see frequently asked questions, as well as you can print contracts from there. Community service is now located right next to special services on the second floor. I'm the only one that runs community service. If you have any questions, of course, you're going to email me, sbalestri@d230.org. .org.
Thank you, Mrs. Balestri. And now we're going to go back to the clubhouse with Mrs. McGeehan.
Thank you, Mr. Tadla. This is Mrs. McGeehan again, and I'm here to talk about a little bit of money, if you can see my money signs here. So many of you have worked very hard and maybe will be eligible for scholarships. Perhaps you need some aid based on your family situations. Regardless of your family situation, every single one of you need to fill out the FAFSA senior year. It is a graduation requirement, and it is a requirement for colleges to be able to figure out their scholarships. It does not matter how much money your parents do or do not make. Everyone will need to fill it out. You'll need to fill it out with your parents because you will need their tax information. It sounds a little overwhelming, but we have a ton of help here to work you through the FAFSA once you're a senior. So please just know that it is a graduation requirement. If your parents are kind of around my age, it was very optional when I went to college. It is no longer optional. Colleges will not give you scholarships without it, and we will not give you a diploma without it. So just know on your radar for senior year, FAFSA should be right there on the top of your list of things that you have to do. Another thing you have to do is take the SAT. So today in your PE class, you are going to pick up an SAT booklet that gives you important information about the SAT, test taking advice and tips, and practice questions. If you are a remote student, we will also be emailing a PDF of all of this information. When you come to school that day for the testing, you will be filling out bubble information about yourself. You will have an opportunity to fill out any colleges that you think you might want your SAT sent to. This will save you from having to go to College Board and spending money and sending your test scores at a later date. So please consider writing down colleges that you think you're going to go to in those bubbles when you are bubbling the day of the testing. Mr. Zolk?
Hi, guys, me again. Real quick, several times it's been mentioned about Google Classroom. You guys are all members of the Google Classroom. It's called Class of 2022 Guidance. In there is a bunch of resources. I've heard it mentioned several times here by many of the counselors. You may not have been in there in a while. We were using the Meet link for some of our advisory visits. In Google Classroom right now, I'm looking at it on my screen. I'm not going to share it. It's only going to take a second. We have counselor information, post-secondary planning, financial aid, career planning, and test prep. Okay. So take a moment sometime today, jump into the Google Classroom, look around a little bit just to refresh in what is in there. We will continue using that throughout this year, and we will likely continue using it next year just to put information and post things, okay? Mr. Daly is constantly putting things in there. So Google Classroom, Class of 2022 Guidance, Google Classroom. If you're not a member, you don't have the code, email your counselor and we'll get you in. All right, thanks guys. I'm turning it over to Mrs. Kramer.
Hi everyone, Ms. Kramer here. Man, we just shared a ton of information with you. You've heard about a lot of things that you really need to be thinking about, but we are all here to help you with your planning. So one of the things that we're doing is during the month of April, we're going to be meeting with all of you individually. So we're going to set it up very similar to what we did with our registration appointments. We're going to give you an individual appointment through Google Calendar, through a Google Meet. So we really want to make sure that you are checking your emails and also checking your Google Calendar. Your counselor will be reaching out to you. Your counselor will be setting up that meeting. If you are here in school, what you can do is just find a quiet place. Just let your teacher know that you have a meeting with your counselor. find a quiet place to go to so that you can meet with your counselor, because we really want to kind of review this with you and get you headed in the right direction. So check your emails, check your Google Calendar. And remember, you can always see your counselor by setting up a meeting on Candidly, or you can always just send us an email. So if you have any questions and if you don't want to wait, just reach out to us, because we really are here to help you. Another way that you're going to get some help is looking at some enrichments. So I'm going to send this back over to Mr. Daly, and he's going to talk about some upcoming enrichments that'll also be helpful for you.
Here are some upcoming enrichments to make note of. The first is my weekly Nuts and Bolts office hours. That's where I sit in a Google Meets room for an hour from 7 to 8 p.m. every Tuesday. And any junior or senior is able to come in and ask any questions or get any help with all things for after high school. Please check your Google Classroom as I post the link each week in both of the Google Classrooms. But again, that is every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Another cool opportunity for you to consider attending are the weekly D230 college panels. Each week during these panels, we host 5 different colleges and universities, public, private, big, small, in-state, out-of-state, and we have them introduce themselves to our students and answer questions that you all submit. We will be doing these through the end of April, so there are still many opportunities, including our next 2 panels on March 31st and April 7th. To sign up, go to bit.ly/D230panels. Every Wednesday during lunch, juniors can get help by attending College Conversations, which is a weekly session where I present different college admissions topics. Here are some upcoming topics we have to explore through the end of the school year. So we will do College Exploration Part 1 and 2. I'll do a presentation on the College Board Opportunity Scholarships on April 28th. Heading into May, I'll discuss what colleges are looking for, college essays, and also common college terminology, which I call college as a second language. You can attend these during your lunch period, and I always post the link in the Google Classroom for guidance. So you don't need to memorize that Google code. You could just check your Google Classroom every week, Wednesday during lunch, and the link should appear. I hope to see you at some of our upcoming sessions.
All right, guys, this is Mrs. McGeehan. Thank you so much for your attention today. Another way that you can get some questions answered is tomorrow all day, 1st through 8th period. We are going to have virtual open office hours. We will post the Google link in the Google Classroom. You could just pop in there anytime. We know that Wednesdays are a little, every class period is a little different with your teachers. Some are giving you independent time to work. So there will be someone manning that Google Meet all day tomorrow to get your question answered. Thank you so much. Please use the resources that we have to help prepare you for life after Andrew. Have a great day.